Q&A, I will touch the topic of multiscale guitars and extended range guitars, which is not quite the same, but more to this later. So I will technically explain what's it all about, and I also have some short video to show to you the differences. And later on I will just chat a bit about my personal experiences that I had with different brands and different scale guitars. So maybe if you decide to buy one in the future, you have maybe a little hint, so you know what to do. Extended range basically means you have more than 6 strings. You have a 7th string, maybe even an 8th string. So you can go to a lower register. You have more tonal opportunities. You can play lower notes, and that's basically it. And what comes with it is usually that you have an extended scale length. So your normal Strat size guitar has a scale length usually of 25.5 inches. There are guitars I know that have only 25-inch scales, or maybe even 24.75 or whatever. But the normal guitar, I would say, has a 25.5 scale length. 7-string guitars, for example, can have a 27-inch scale length. So this means you have 1.5 inches more neck length. This is especially with, for example, Jackson guitars and with Schecter guitars, I think Ibanez with a 7th string, and ESP, they stick to the 25.5, but I'm not sure. There are several manufacturers who do it this way, the others do it that way. And if you have an 8-string guitar, then for sure you have a longer scale length. Usually it's 27 inches. Some brands even offer 28 or whatever huge scale length. And why is that? The reason for that is that when you have a longer scale length, especially the low strings have more tension to it, so the intonation is better, and if you bend strings it feels more natural. But I think mainly it's because the guitar the lower notes just sound better. But on the other hand, the higher strings then have even more tension than on a normal length guitar. So it could be sometimes a bit difficult to play solos and to make bendings in the higher register. So this is why maybe some people don't like just extended range guitars with a 27-inch scale length. So now what is multiscale design? Multiscale design basically means you have different scale length for different strings on your guitar. So the high strings, or the highest string, has a normal scale length of 25.5 inches normally, and the lower notes and the lower strings have a longer scale length. So the reason for that is the string tension is the same, or should be more or less the same over all strings. So it feels quite natural. You can make bendings like usual when you play solos, but you have a good articulation and really distinct notes when you play the lower notes. So the intonation is just better. Is it really difficult to adapt to a multiscale guitar or not? That's hard to answer. It depends on which build you have, and especially where the parallel fret is, or the perpendicular fret, because there's only one. Some companies do it on the 12th fret, which can be quite uncomfortable. I recently sold a guitar that had the parallel fret on the 12th fret, and the lowest string had a scale length of 27.2 inches. And I can tell you the fan on the first 2 or 3 frets was like this, and I could barely play chords, and it just feel a bit awkward, and the neck was very wide too, so that was nothing for me. But for example, when you take a Kiesel guitar, they do it a bit different. The perpendicular fret on their guitars is, for example, here on the 9th fret. So this makes the fan not too aggressive. This is only a 6th string, I know, but on the 7th string and the 8th string it's quite similar. So it's very easy to play, and even it feels more natural, I think, to play a multiscale guitar, because you don't have to put your fingers really perpendicular to the fretboard, You usually, as you can see, when you go up the fretboard, you just usually fan your fingers also, so it feels quite natural. But next, see this little video and I'll come back to you later.
So what's it all about, the 6, 7 and 8 string guitars? Your normal 6-string guitar has a scale length of 25.5 inches or maybe even less. Whereas a 7-string guitar might have a longer scale length, but for sure has a wider neck. With an 8-string guitar, you enter the realm of the monumental. The scale length is usually 27 inches, sometimes even more, and the neck is as wide as a roof lath. Multiscale guitars have different scale lengths for all strings and only one completely perpendicular fret. This can be in different positions on the fretboard. Multiscale guitars can be recognized by their angle bridge and their fanned fretboard, usually especially in the lower register. Depending on how wide the neck and how hard the fan is, these guitars can be really hard to play, especially when it comes to chording.
So now comes the big question: to buy a multiscale guitar or to buy not a multiscale guitar? As I pointed out, it really depends on the guitar builder, it depends on where the perpendicular fret is and how hard the fan is, it depends on the scale lengths that are used. I think 27 plus is really long, even for an 8-string guitar. And it also depends on the neck shape. So there are certain things you have to consider when you think of buying a multiscale guitar. But all in all, I would say it really is worth it, because I find the playing is very natural, the sound is very distinct, especially the lower notes, and I have to say I didn't really have to adjust to anything. It just felt natural with a 6-string fanned fret guitar. I didn't feel any difference. I think it was harder for me to adapt to a 7-string guitar when you play 20 years only 6-string guitar. And I have to say, from a 7 to an 8-string guitar, for me personally, the step was not too big. So the biggest steps maybe were from a 6 to a normal 7-string guitar, and maybe from I would say from a 6 or 7-string guitar to a multiscale fan fret 8-string guitar. This can be a bit heavy, so maybe you should do it step by step, but I can tell you, multiscale, I think it's worth it. So if you like what I do, just hit the subscribe button, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.